When we're talking in businesses, it's how do you get a return on investment on this technology right now? It's not as amazing as people like Dario Modi, CEO of Anthropic, or Sam Altman are telling you every day, because they are hyping things to raise the next funding round. I didn't want to pay lawyers. Why am I going to pay someone to write $3,000 to write this contract? Run this contract through Claude. That relationship with the contractor went very wrong. When the lawyer looked at the contract, they were like, here is 10 specific things you could have had in your contract that would have solved this situation like that. Now you need to go to small claims court.
Biggest AI myth doing the rounds right now.
You see it all the time. Anthropic releases new model and it's achieving PhD level performance on certain benchmarks. Anthropic creates a model which is so powerful they can't release it because it's going to blow security. Claude and Anthropic don't have internal self-drives. They are like this scene in the Matrix where Neo is looking at his computer, right, and there's that little white dot blinking on and off, and it's waiting for him to respond. Claude and GPT do the same thing. They're not sat there every day waking up and being like, when are we going to do some work?
So today's guest has over 10 years in AI and tech. He's bridged gaps between non-technical business owners and AI, built AI systems used by millions, and also built a system to protect children online, helped over 200 founders build and launch AI products, founder of Minimal Viable Launch, author of Minimal Viable Launch, and today we're going to deep dive into how AI can help those contract, trade and service business owners go from nothing to leveraging AI in the best possible way within their business. So Lee Russell, thank you very much for coming and working on it.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to get into this.
Me too, actually. We've had a few AI people on and they've spoken about some stuff that's much higher than, you think most people probably wouldn't understand that. But when I heard your story, I was like, actually, you'll be able to break it down for us. And when I say us, because I've got a couple of service-based businesses too, and I really would love to understand how we could leverage AI in the whole transition of leveraging in a business, but not you lose that human element.
Yeah, I think this is the key, right? We always, at my company, talk about applied AI. There is the kind of futurologist type conversations where we're saying, it's going to change society, it's going to cause mass job disruption and losses. Maybe it brings around, if you like your Ray Kurzweil, the singularity, this self-improving, rapidly growing society. And that's really cool. And I love reading about that and discussing that, but let's do that down the pub over a pint. When we're talking in businesses, it's how do you get a return on investment on this technology right now? Because it's an amazing technology. It's not as amazing as people like Dario Modi, CEO of Anthropic, or Sam Altman are telling you every day, because they are hyping things to raise the next funding round. And it's not as terrible as a lot of the pessimists online are telling you of, it's destroying your thinking capabilities, it's making your business output worse material. Yes, if you use it badly, it will do those things. It is the middle road. So we like to call ourselves the purple pillars, this idea in the Matrix. You can have the red pill, the blue pill. We say, I don't want either of those. I just want the middle road. It's not going to be as amazing as everyone says. It's not going to be as bad as everyone says. And that's generally how technology plays out over, if you look at the historical example. So yeah, let's get into applied AI today. How do you get that return on investment? That is the important conversation.
Definitely, yeah. And I think when you mentioned about some of those people that really kind of give that doom and gloom on it, like the outcome of what it could be like. And I listened to a podcast recently with Mo Gaudat on it, and seems a very super intelligent guy, and seems a very nice guy. But whenever he just explains AI, I'm like, really? It's like he's just got like this vendetta against AI. It's really strange. And then he was on most recently, and he seemed to have toned down his way of thinking and perhaps his predictions. It's not as bad as what it seems. And then, like you said, about people that are really hyping it up, even Elon Musk with his, is it Optimus robots?
Optimus, AI data centers in space. Exactly. Whatever he needs to do for this IPO, he's got
exactly. Then you do think that whenever he says it, all of a sudden it just goes through the roof and the stock, and then he gets a large amount of investing, and then it's worked out. Yeah. Is there an element of truth to that, or is it just, as you say, a strategic way of generating income or generating a round of investment?
Well, what's going to get more clicks on an article or a podcast, AI is going to destroy all white collar jobs in the next 6 months, right? We see that headline.
Yep.
We've seen that headline for the last 3 years, quite frankly. Or AI is going to make specialists more productive, deliver more value, but largely society will remain as it is. More opportunity, the pie will grow slightly.
Yeah.
Like, and if you really look at some of the economic predictions of people who map, you know, the impact of technology changes, they aren't saying that we're going to 100x the world economy in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
There isn't, no one serious is kind of predicting that. They are predicting productivity gains, GDP expansion from this, but they're not predicting this kind of complete ripping up of society and the way that we run things within the next 5 years. And I always think within this technologist bubble, like they are isolated from many real world businesses. There are businesses that we have worked with in the field services industry in the last 6 months who we have helped massively, not by putting loads of AI in, but by making their invoices no longer paper-based. Because when it was paper-based, it would get stuck in one of their operatives' vans for 2 months, so they couldn't raise the final invoice. And I said, oh, you don't even need AI. This is just technology you could have done 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So we are so under-leveraged on technology in businesses, especially in the UK. Like, that has an inertia to it. Yeah. You are not going to get AI, even if it could do the things that they said it can, and it cannot to this present day. You are not going to change things like that. There is an inertia to the system. There is resistance. You've got to get people bought in. You've got to do projects to change these systems. And in the last 10 years of working in machine learning and AI, machine learning, what we were calling AI before, AI is already cool, right? I've never worked on a project that has resulted in any single person losing their job. It has always expanded the pie because problems are fractal. And there's always more high leverage work that you would rather those people focus on. So when you we call it automate the mundane, humanize the exceptional. When you do that, you don't turn around and get rid of people who are good. You say, oh, actually, there was this thing over here I really wished you could be doing all along, but this thing had to be done. Now you can do this. And that is what we are seeing with all of the companies that we're working with. It's this transfer of leverage upwards.
Yeah, you mentioned automate the mundane and humane.
Humanise the
exception. That's a really good thing, actually, because so I've dabbled a little bit myself, and I've been able to build a hub in one of my companies. So it's like we've got this reporting dashboard now internally at the moment. It will be going out to the clients too. But at the moment, we're testing it for 6 months internally, and it's all been built leveraging various AI platforms and so on. And you know, when some of the staff in the office might think, oh, God, Brad's getting this thing, it's going to take our jobs. You're like, no, it now gives you clear data a lot faster and really clear to understand, so you don't have to spend all that time going in and getting these reports and finding them and searching the customer. It all links now, all links to the system, you know, and it pulls it for you whenever you want it.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that. So now you can focus on customer feedback or customer calls or appointments and that sort of thing.
Making decisions with that.
Yes.
Like, we've just done this for a really big property services and management firm. So 250 plus employees, thousands of properties across the UK. And they have to do the spend analysis. Here's the report, here's the maintenance schedules. They have to go into fine-grained detail with that. And their customers, every single building, wanted something slightly different. And they were putting their best people on gathering that data to send those reports, which they are required to do because of regulation. And so now we've created a dynamic system that goes into that database, pulls the data for that business out, builds a customized report for them, and it doesn't send it to the clients. Now that surfaces it to those incredibly brilliant people that they've got on that team. It's a really rare skill set that the finance team have on that team, and they contextualize that for the clients. They essentially now present that back to the clients, right? So instead of just throwing the report over the wall because I've already spent 6 hours gathering the data and I got the next one to do, well, it's taking me 30 seconds to gather the data, and now I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing a walkthrough video that explains every point of that report and what we're doing about it and what's coming up, and I'm going to send that so you become more of a human business, not less.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing AI right, That's the signal we look for. Are you becoming a more human business? Are you spending more time with your clients, more face-to-face time, more consultative time? That to me is the true power and promise of AI. It allows you to do that.
Definitely, yeah, it's really good. So what got you into AI in the first place then?
A series of very strange and unfortunate mistakes.
Unfortunate, okay.
No, I say unfortunate, but more like just complete luck. So I wanted to be an animator, and realized that was a lot of work. So,
what, like in Pixar and?
Yeah, like
okay.
Forever
really good.
in school, I had a very difficult school career, thrown out of many schools, but like I'd just be drawing all the time. And so wanted to be this animator, realized that was a ton of work. I didn't have the patience for that. Went to uni for like illustration, and discovered I was pretty good at problem solving inside of that course. Didn't really know how to apply to that. Fell into a recruitment job because I was like, I can do sales, and went to a conference in Italy where someone was talking about if your app. Well, I was recruiting mobile app developers, and they were saying if your app was a dinner party guest, would you invite them back? Or is that a dinner party guest who's rude and interrupts you all the time and is all about me? And I was like, that's a really interesting point. Found out about this career of software design. I was like, I can do that, and fell into it. And from there, just worked in fields that happen to be related to machine learning, not by any grand design of like, I really want to go into machine learning or AI, but just by being interesting problems to solve. And from there, last 10 years in machine learning companies, and building my skill sets and becoming technical myself, becoming an engineer myself. So yeah, no grand design, but like just a series of opportunities I pursued.
Yeah, and sounds like self-taught as well by the sounds of things.
Yeah, so I don't have a computer science background. I hire lots of people who do have that formal training to tell me where I'm an idiot every day.
Well, it worked
which
out
is
Henry
great.
Ford by taking that strategy, didn't it? So
Yeah. Well, this is our great passion. Like in our company, is we find standout people who can kind of leverage their expertise, like way above and beyond where we're able to with our current skill sets. Bring those in, and that unlocks capabilities, and then we can do more and more, let's say, capable projects for our clients. But yeah, completely self-taught, and just following curiosity. And I think that is a skill set in AI that is important, is curious people are massively accelerated by AI, because you can be endlessly curious. You can spin out endless side projects that give you a reason to learn the subject matter. And it's an endlessly patient teacher. I was terrible at maths for a long time. And it's always been a bit of a bugbear of mine in my industry now. Like some of the algorithmic AI, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Like that's way above my pay grade. And I was like, what if I just run like some of these math textbooks through an AI model, and I build out a course? And I spent like 6 months teaching myself linear algebra, and I was like, this is awesome. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, this. I now can read some of these like crazy long algorithms, and I'm like, I still couldn't make them myself, right? But I can read them now, and that is the power of AI, this endless teacher.
Yeah, and what's really good about that is the fact that, so we'll mention about it later on, but there was that graph, isn't there? I think it's like 100 dots, and I don't know if you've seen it, I'm sure you have, and the last 4 dots are in orange, the rest are in white, and it's like, this is how many people in the world are using AI.
Yep.
And then there's like 1.5 dots that are painted in green, and there's like, this is how many people are actually leveraging AI to better themselves.
Yep.
Everyone else is using it for like a powered Google.
Yeah, powered Google or a powered consumption engine.
Yeah, so it's crazy how you done that, and like you said, it's probably curiosity that got you to do that. Because you've now turned a load of maths subject, probably 4 or 5 years worth of maths learning in a school or university, into a way that knows you, and also how you're going to absorb the information the best way. You know, not looking at black and white text non-stop in textbooks.
This is
tell me how I like it.
Yeah,
you know,
this
and
is
then
why I failed in maths, because I was always asking the question like, why do I need to know this? Tell me why I need to know the hypotenuse of a triangle. Yeah. Now, actually, there's really interesting things you can do when you can work out the distance between those 2 points, right? Yeah. But none of my teachers could ever explain that to me. But AI does that. Like, here's an example.
Yeah.
Here's based on all the memories I have about you of things you
On
find
your in your
interesting.
tone of voice.
Yeah, in your
So it's going
tone
to be
of voice
attractive to you.
and multimodal.
Yeah.
At the minute, I'm absolutely loving taking our customer information. So we get a lot of information about our customers to say, who are you? What's your business? What's your products? What's your problems? These kind of things. We take all of that context and we create podcasts and explainer videos for the whole team using Notebook LM. This is really easy to do. Like, this is a 5-second job. You don't need to be technical at all to do it. You just put the files in. You say, I want to create a training pack for my team. And it creates these explainer videos of our customers' businesses that the team are then made to watch before we do the workshop. But we send these explainer videos to our clients and they go, I've never seen my business more clearly explained. Can I send this to my team?
Yeah.
Because like for the new hires, so think about all of your SOPs and your training materials in your business. If you could build the context up, you can create personalized courses for nearly each member of your team. Here's the overall context and here's what your role context is. Like, think about what would happen if everyone in your business really understood the mission, the values, the systems, the product lineup. Like, you would get more capable decision makers in your business at every level. And for me as a business owner, that is one of my biggest frustrations. I'm forever like thinking, how can I make people have higher agency in my business and just do things? It's fine. Make decisions. Stop coming back to me. Right? This is the problem I'm trying to solve at the minute. And this is seeming to work. Is we do the training with these, and then we delegate decision making power down. So you've got the context. Go work with it.
Yeah.
As long as you don't make a decision that kills anyone, like, it can all be undone. So that's fine. That's the only rule.
Have you read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time?
Yes, so I love Dan Martell. Yeah,
that's a great. He's got a great way of doing or handling this exact scenario with his members of team.
Yep.
And he just sits there with them and he goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know. And he goes, what do you mean you don't know? You built it. He goes, I don't know. He goes, how would you do it? And he just keeps going back. He just keeps kicking it back to him. And in the end, they come up with the answer. But now they've learned how to find the answer. And what happens is, because he doesn't give them much, he just gives them a slight bit of guidance. They go to him less.
There's a guy.
It's hard to adopt, though.
Really,
if you always want to help, it's hard to adopt. I know. I speak from experience.
Yeah. Well, because there's a lot of ego driven in that, right? So you're needed at this point. And this is one of the things to contend with AI as well, is this, I call it the professional ego death. So designer, software developer, the two major industries that I think are being disrupted by AI the most out of everything, with Claude Code and its capabilities. Like, I have clients coming to me with apps that they built, and I'm sat there going, oh, if the AI can do this, what's my value? Like, you go through this professional ego death of, if it's not writing the code, if it's not designing these things, then who am I? And I feel like you'd go through the same thing as a business owner of, if I'm not on the tools, if I'm not the font of all knowledge, if I'm not the ultimate hero who can kind of fly in and save the day, what's my job? It's like, well, your job is to build the system, become the architect of your business, so that you create a system that can self-replicate, grow, and provide more value. But like, that is a very difficult mental shift, and one that I have not necessarily solved the whole way. Like, I'm in the middle of this transition, I think.
Yeah, that's really good. I think every business owner goes through that.
I hope, yeah, it's painful.
Not alone.
It's really painful, and you will go through iterations. You delegate, and then you realize you've done that. Well, you realize you abdicated, so you didn't delegate at all, and then that's all gone wrong. So you pull it all back, and you go, people are terrible. Why would I hire these people? Yeah. I'm poorer than ever. I'm working more than ever, and you've got to work this out. So we've actually just come up with a new hiring process that's specifically around designed around the world of AI and how you hire for people who are going to be most accelerated by AI.
Okay.
Because we were having these very strange interviews with people. So, again, in software and tech, you have people who will have large language models running on the side of their screens. Right? We're a completely remote company, so it's all remote interviews. And you have these conversations with people, and you're like, they sound like an LLM. They are saying things to me that sounds like I'm speaking with ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. Yeah. And then you realize that they've got, because these are technical people, they've got LLMs running the audio from the meeting and suggesting good answers, right? And then you start like prompting their AI through the interview. So you're like, okay, people talking about what they have done is a terrible interview process in the world of AI, because they can bridge any knowledge gap and create any story with specific examples. Like, what's the point of it? You're just going to interview a lot of people, and you're going to really be in this potluck type process. And we're looking for people with high agency. And what I mean by that is they are self-starters, detail-driven, they take ownership, and then they execute on ideas and see them through. That's all I really want to hire in my business. And that's not necessarily a result of years of experience. I think that is a personality trait. That is a makeup of a person. So we've taken this process where we have a very particular application process. You have to email with a specific subject line. You've got to rebuild your CV in a certain format, and then you have to answer some questions on your philosophy of work. Like strange applications go through, and we have basically these auto filters. And if they get any one of those things wrong, it just auto bins them. So we just go, we're not even going to look at your, like, it's done. Like,
okay.
Because we're getting like 500-600 applications per role.
Wow.
So we've got to filter these.
Oh,
so
yeah, you've got to have a system in that.
Take 80% of them, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Now of the 20%, let's look at those. And then without interviewing them, we just send them a message and say, here's a task. Give us your bank details. We're going to pay you to do this. So give them like 50 quid an hour, something like that. Make it worth the while. Scope the task at about 2 hours worth of work. And what we do is we try to make a task that gives us a demonstration of what they are like to work with. So if it is a developer, it's planning a piece of work. If it's a project manager, it's giving them a scenario and seeing, like, how would you deal with this? Show us the process that you would go through.
Well, and all this is on the system that you've built. So you put in what
it's all
position they're going for,
yeah.
and then the system.
Well, we'll create these. This is all just PDF kind of based, like
Right.
tasks, and then they have to do these tasks. Right?
Okay.
But we put traps in the task. So we password protect the file, and then we send them the wrong password. So now I know when you started the task, because you are going to have to come back and tell me, hey, the password is wrong. So if you've said, I'm going to start this, and it's going to take, I think it's going to take me 2 hours. I'm going to start on Monday, and we'll do it Thursday. And then you ask for the password on Wednesday night at like 12 o'clock. I know that you do things very last minute, right?
Yeah.
So we get to see a sense of the person working. We put purposeful mistakes in the brief, so that they are going to have to come back and ask clarifying questions to say, hey, I've read through this. This doesn't make any sense. I'm actually going to do they say this is what I'm going to do instead? Because that demonstrates agency, right? Then they have to present the work via a Loom video. That gets rid of so many people. Like, people send videos back, no camera on, nothing. It's like, well, in a remote world, like, we are all cameras on.
Yeah.
I don't really want to moan at you for that all the time.
Yeah.
This was when you were your chance to show your face to us. That's a kind of auto fail. We've been running this now. We get hundreds of applicants down to, maybe 10 who we pay to do the task. Of those 10, maybe one gets the job. And the level of people we are finding is like truly exciting. And when our customers are interacting with them, I get consistent messages from my customers going, where did you find this person? Like, they have been amazing. And I'm like, this is really working quite spectacularly. So if you can think in your business, how do I get to try before I buy? And I will pay you to interview with me, because I don't want to waste an hour of my time speaking to someone who's not going to get the job. Like, let me just see how you work first.
Yeah.
It's been brilliant. But we found a lot of it from a book called Hire by a guy called Kasim. I can never remember his second name. It's an incredible book. It's just literally called Hire. If you search Hire Kasim, he kind of outlines the process for doing it. It's been a wild success so far.
So you've learned those strategies from this book?
Yeah, he did a
amazing.
talk at Genius Network and saw it. Someone sent it to me, and I was like, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And it has been incredible, because you get to see, like, some people go, what happens if someone just takes the money and doesn't do the task? Great. I've just that's
you're not gonna hire them.
cheap. That's a very cheap lesson of someone that I really didn't want to hire. Yeah. That is an amazing outcome of that. Great. That's 50 quid that I've just, maybe they could have taken thousands if they've been
Yeah.
inside my business. Fine,
Exactly.
That's great.
That's what they say, isn't it? It's sort of like the cost of the wrong hire.
Mm.
And then when you break it down, it's quite incredible of
Yeah.
how much it actually costs to the business,
Because
financially and commercially.
it downrates all of it. This is what we found. Like, we made some bad hires, and it downrated all of our best players in the business. Had to downregulate to then manage the hell out of those who were not really doing what they needed to do. And we had to get rid of them. And then there's all this mess that you clean up, because then you look at it and you go, what the hell has been going on in this department? Like, this is like chaos. There's like, everything is on fire.
Yeah.
You're like, great, this is going to take 4 or 5 months to clean up.
Yeah.
All because we made them.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I think that's a high leverage skill.
Definitely.
And there's certain types of people that are willing to jump in, use AI, and change how they do what they do. And if you can angle that task to give them an opportunity to show you, this is how I would do it and how AI has been used, you can start purposely recruiting people with that mindset who are going to naturally evolve your business into what we'd call like an AI native business, where you are not just sprinkling a little bit of AI on top of what you already do. You are rebuilding it from its core to say, based on these new capabilities, how could we 10x the value for our customers? What could we do that would make them absolutely love working with us again and again and again? That is an interesting set of people to have inside your business, innovating inside your business.
Yeah, I think it's taking that step back and looking at it with the new tools that we now have available to us in the last sort of like year to 2 years maximum. What can we, because everyone sits on just what they've been doing. That's the way we've always done it. You're like, but you need to innovate. Certainly with, the power of the tools that are now available.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is the core question. You can do what everyone is doing, right? Let's go back to that chart.
Yeah.
Most people aren't using AI. Of those that are using AI, only a very small percentage are getting an ROI on their AI. And I think from the projects we've worked on that have been wild successes, it has always been this very specific mindset of, let's look at what we're currently doing. Let's look at what we would love to do for our customers, but we've written off because we've said that's unscalable, unfeasible, or unaffordable. But we know that if we did it, it gets more referrals, it gets stickier customers, they would pay us more, they would pay us for longer, those kind of playbooks that we've just put to one side, our wildest kind of dreams, because they're unpractical. And then let's just pull those back out the cupboard and say, now that we have the capabilities of AI, does any of this become feasible, scalable, and affordable? And if they do, let's make the bet. Let's change the way the service runs and make AI core, not an optional, and then we use AI to do some social media posts, and then we use some AI to kind of do a little bit of innovation. No, disrupt yourself.
Yeah.
And then you can disrupt your industry. And that is the exciting mindset. But most people aren't. That's not how they're looking at AI. They're looking at AI really selfishly. How can I reduce costs? How can I do things cheaper so that we can keep the prices the same, but then put barriers between us and our customers so we don't speak to, they can just have a support chatbot. It's like, that's not going to work, because there are businesses in your industry who are going to come up with AI native services. And it's going to be like you're an e-commerce business in 2010s. You take 3 weeks to deliver a parcel and everyone is happy with that. And you are making money. That is great. And then Amazon comes to town and says, by the way, we do all these items and you can get them next day. And you go, that's really unfair, because now everyone wants next day delivery.
Yeah.
It might be unfair, but the standards switched instantaneously, and what was okay yesterday is no longer okay. And that is happening in every industry as businesses crack the nut and customers interact with businesses that have cracked the nut. They turn around and look at your business and go, this is archaic. What are you doing? Yeah. What do you mean it takes you 2 weeks to get back to me?
Yeah.
I want a personalized report in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You can say it's unfair, but that is where the game is going. So you better work out how to crack the nut.
And I think there's probably no limitations, only by probably your imagination or what you're actually thinking, or perhaps the barriers that you yourself have, because it certainly isn't a tool or information lack. It's that it's all there. It's just whether you want to do it or not.
But this is where people with deep industry knowledge are super powerful, right? Is you know the pain points, you know the things that your customers love doing. If you think back to, if you're a business leader and you think back to the start of your business where you weren't big, you didn't have the brand, you didn't have all the SOPs and the capable team, what was it that you were doing that won you all of that work, that kind of breathed life into your business? Because there's probably some telling tales in that, right? Oh, well, I used to do every proposal we did, every tender we did was personalized to the max. I made sure that thing was like kind of diamond polished because I had to win the business. And now we have a standard template, and now it just goes in and we run it through, and it's half an hour, and we win 40% of them. That's great. Okay, what if you now customize them all again with all of the additive benefits that you've got? That becomes interesting. What if you did the due diligence on your tenders that made you the bulletproof choice? There's a battery energy uninterruptible power supply company we work with, and they told us a story of a company they used to work with where they had a whole team of about 80 people in Costa Rica who would do all of the due diligence on their reports, on their tenders, to basically put the biggest tender in. Here's the research on all of the components, the system design, the safety, all of that. It was like, this is bulletproof. If you go with this, you're never being fired. It's more expensive than everyone else, but if you go with this, like, it's not a risky choice. And they're like, we would love to do that, but they restarted this company, but we can't afford a team of 80 people in Costa Rica to do that. I was like, well, you don't need a team of 80 people in Costa Rica. What you need is a AI harness, a system that can help your best people do that level of work now so that you become that same company, and a team of 12 people outcompetes that 200-person company. That is the exciting place to be.
That's crazy, isn't it? To think like that, you know, like 80 people down to, like you say, like an office of, like, say, 5-10 people can do the exact same amount of work, and probably even better, more detailed.
And like keeping them like keeping your best people in the loop as these kind of directors of or orchestrators of these agents. That is the key. We talk about the 10-80-10 method, which is our mindset around AI usage. If you just give me a pure AI output, it is likely garbage and is going to continually be viewed as garbage, right? So you look at things like LinkedIn social posts and comments, right? You can tell from a mile off the ones that are just pure AI in, out, post, and everyone goes, it's kind of like junk food, right? It's just like, oh God, don't want any more of that. Thank you very much. But if we can have someone who is very knowledgeable, experienced, who has great taste and strategic insight, or kind of specific industry knowledge, if you can set the framework up, if you can set the templates up, if you can set the working orders up, and then give great context and insight in what you want to do, that raw material becomes a very powerful starting point for the AI. The AI then runs 80% of the long thing. It makes the PowerPoint. It does the PDF. It makes the chart. Whatever the thing is that used to take you hours of dragging pixels around. Your customers do not love you for dragging the pixels around. They love you for the insights and the thinking and the risk analysis that you've done. They don't love you for making the PowerPoint. So the AI does that, and then the human comes back in the last 10% and says, now I'm going to use my specific knowledge and context to delete things, change things, reword things, and push that to a remarkable asset in your business. That is really difficult to do, because the natural inclination of a lot of your humans in your business is to see the capabilities of the system, go, wow, that does in seconds what would take me hours. This whole thing must be so much better than me. So they discount their abilities, they put the autopilot on, and then they get in the back seat of the car. But what they don't realize is this is not a full self-driving car. It's cruise control. And as soon as there's some corners or chicanes on that road, you're going flying off the road. You have to stay in the front seat. You've got to be the attentive driver of these machines, at least with the current technology we've got. And that's why I hate the conversation around all jobs being lost. Like, show me a company that goes fully agentic with no humans in it. I will show you a business that will go out of business so ridiculously fast.
That's a really good way of putting it, actually, like the automated car and sitting in the back seat, because like you say, it's that you do still need to be in the driver's seat and steer it in the right way. But It's a really, really good way of putting it. So you then went to build on something that protects children online.
Yes,
Tell
well,
me a bit about that.
so this was with a company called Smoothwall, and this is really where I started to learn about machine learning, natural language processing, and intelligent system design. So Smoothwall essentially will analyze children's behavior online via their school devices. So in the UK, you must have active monitoring on children's school devices. So we'll know what they're doing, how they're chatting with each other, what they're visiting, typing, all of this stuff. And then we must flag safeguarding risks to the safeguarding lead within the school, who can then decide, like, is this a police matter? Do I need to intervene with a child? Maybe health services, whatever it is. And the same in America. And so we were operating across millions of students and working with government agencies to detect like school shootings, counterterrorism events, things like that. It's a very revealing job, like searching through that data. You learn about some pretty horrendous things and the prevalence of some very dark aspects of our society. But that was a very telling experience for me and transformational experience for me of like, here's what happens when you have the power to affect millions and you make an algorithmic choice. It suddenly has these ripple effects on thousands of lives. It suddenly can literally save or maybe not save someone's life in the case of maybe a self-harm event, something like that. So yeah, this was a 5-year window of my life of growing kind of products to millions of users in there and working out, okay, how do we deploy AI at scale? Because this isn't an easy problem. And this is what I think a lot of people are discounting in the world of AI. AI is probabilistic, meaning when I give it 1 and 1, let's say 1 + 1, it's not absolutely certain to give me the answer of 2. It's highly, 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 highly likely based on its training data, but it's probabilistic based on its training data. So if I fed a LLM tons and tons of training data that said 1 and 1 = 3, that is what it would come out with, because inside of its weightings, that would be the probabilistic answer, most likely. So you have to account for that inside of your business. And this is why it's not outsource everything to AI. This is why you keep humans in the loop, because we are discounting the power of humans far too much in the current conversation. Humans are insane miracles of evolution. We can look at very strange scenarios that are not normal within your business and look at the context around that instantaneously and make decisions that make sense. Whereas an AI is very, very fragile as a system, because it looks at its probabilistic data set and goes, oh, based on everything that I kind of have been trained on, this is probably the right looking answer to that solution. And that's why it consistently makes very dumb mistakes when you deploy these at scale and you go, why did it do that? Oh, because the training data says and shows it that this is something that is reflective of a good solution to that. And your AI doesn't learn, right? Your AI learns from version to version that the model creators give you. Opus 4.8, Anthropic's new model has just come out. That's an evolution of their model. But your employees learn your business every day. Your employee at day 0, month 1, month 6, year 10 is a different person who has context that has been deeply ingrained, who has, they know, well, the SOP is written in this way, but that's not how it actually works in the business, because you got to go and walk over to Dave's desk and get him to sign this thing and nudge him because he never reads his emails, right? That is the power of humans in your business. And AI, there isn't a system to make AI match that right now. So it's the both together is what I learned.
Yeah.
And even in that, with Smoothwall, with the millions of users, that's why we defaulted to surfacing events to humans, because of the context of the child. Like, we could say, okay, this child has written something on a Google Doc in school. And our systems pick that up, and it is very troubling, it's triggering keywords left, right, and center. And maybe it's something to do with, let's take some of the examples we'd work with in the US around school shootings. So we'd be highly triggered in that system. Languages, any language around guns, violence, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, would trigger the system. But you don't want to make a call straight to the local sheriff's department, especially in America, because they probably run in blasting, right? Right. So you want to be really careful with this. So you don't, because you know the system is fragile. So you surface that to a trusted human individual who then looks at that AI data and says, "That's interesting, but I know that they were in a class talking about." They were doing a class on the history of gun violence in schools. So I'm not going to ring the police department because this is their coursework. Whereas the AI would go, they're talking about guns, immediately. This is a threat. And I think that shows how the pattern will play out until we get a new technology that's not large language model based, where you are going to need humans to make sensible decisions in your business. And there will be people raging in the comments. I get it every time I say this. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's talking about AI and how it works. Yes, I do, and I've built it for 10 years. I've seen a lot of the mistakes that it has made, and that's why you put humans in the loop. And that is going to be the playbook for a while yet.
I think that's why at the end of every response that perhaps Claude gives you, I know I use Claude, it says, "Please don't take this, please check this out." They're like constantly covering themselves, every single reply,
Well, even on like very little levels, we call this thinking debt in a business, and this is something you've got to watch out for as a business owner, right? So you go on this journey, you have the light bulb moment. You maybe use something like Claude, and Claude is a good gateway drug for this because it shows you, oh wow, when it has all this context on my business, look what it can do, and you will almost certainly overestimate the capabilities of current day LLMs, especially. Because you are going to suffer from something called Gell-Mann Amnesia, and Gell-Mann Amnesia is a media concept, but it's very useful to look at an AI output through. So you're reading a magazine, and first page is like cure for lung cancer found, and it is this expose on a new wonder drug, and you read it and you go, and you're not a doctor and you haven't studied biology or anything else, and you read it and you go, oh my God, wow. Like humans are incredible. Look, cancer is solved. Lung cancer is solved. Amazing. You turn the page. You are an electrician. And the next article is something around a upgrade to the energy grid because renewables are doing something to do with the power system, right? And you read that and you go, that's wrong, that's stupid, what the hell are they talking about there? And you realize that this article is full of absolute rubbish, and you turn the page again, and then it's a article, let's say, about SpaceX launching data centers in space, and you go, wow, look at, right? You have amnesia from page to page, and you have amnesia essentially where you are overrating the output of a system where you don't have specific knowledge and experience. But when you look at the same system and you have specific knowledge and specific experience, you say, what a terrible system that is. Like, look at all the mistakes. And this happens all the time in AI because you start doing your finance reports. You're not an accountant. You're not a bookkeeper. You've never been a CFO. And you start going, why am I paying our CFO $100,000 a year? We can just do all this with AI. But what you're not realizing is you're only looking at it from a surface level. And so you need the specialist to come in and basically hold the AI to account, drive it to go deeper, give it this 10-80-10 method, and then you get the productivity gain. The mistake is to say fewer people will do more. No. The right way is to think more specialists in my business will go deeper with AI. And a specialist with an AI tool will always outcompete a novice with AI for the specific reasons of the specialist has different language. Their prompting style and request style for an AI is full of very specific language that tilts the AI's output, again, it's probabilistic, into a space where it can produce world-class outputs for you. The amateur doesn't know, they can't prompt for what they don't know. And so they have surface level outputs, but it looks amazing to them because of this Gell-Mann and amnesia. And the expert, the specialist with your AI tool, can spot spot the thinking debt that's been built up in the output of the AI. And this is why the last 10% of that 10-80-10 is really critical, because that's where you fix that debt. And if you don't, you eventually build up this bubble of thinking debt in your business that will pop at some point. We had one of them pop in our business recently.
Yeah.
And I'll share, even as an AI expert, I've been an idiot with AI because I didn't want to pay lawyers. I was like, why am I going to pay someone to write $3,000 to write this contract? We want to hire this contractor. I'll just run this contract through Claude. That's great. Thought it was. Sign the contract, all good. That relationship with the contractor went very wrong.
Oh, really?
And then I had to reread the contract in the cold, hard light of day. And I was like, actually, maybe we do need a lawyer to look at this. And when the lawyer looked at the contract, they were like, yeah, this is okay, but like, here is 10 specific things you could have had in your contract that would have solved this situation like that. Now you need to go to small claims court. And I'm like, that was a really expensive,
not more than $3,000.
Yeah, a really expensive use of AI. But if I'd have had someone who, had some knowledge around contracts, do the 10-80-10 on that, then we'd have really great contracts. We'd get the benefits of the specialist and the AI productivity gain. And that's the pairing you want to look for at every level of your business. And this is why I say you don't replace people with AI. You enhance them, because they will always outcompete the businesses that are doing this selfish version of, let's get rid of whole departments. Do a Klarna, right? We're going to fire all of our support staff and it's all going to be AI. 3 months later, we need to hire all of our support staff back because this is terrible. Because it makes stupid decisions all the time.
Yeah.
I think, we've got to really push ourselves to that pairing is what we're looking for.
So before we get into how we can leverage AI in the businesses, just quickly explain to me the 10-80-10.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
So, 10-80-10 is this idea of the mindset of working with an AI. So you have this specialist. They set up the context of whatever that task is that you're going to offload to the AI. They say, here's the rules. Here's the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is something that you can level up all of your prompts or skill files with. It's a development piece of terminology, but it says for this to be valid, it must do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like these things must be true. Check your work against this AI. So they set up the templates. They set up the context files. They set up the skill file. And then they make the request. And when they make the request, they shouldn't just say, for instance, a real skill file that we have in our business is a finance snapshot. I can type into my Claude /finance snapshot, and it will set off a process inside of the business that does an analysis of that finance, the finance of the business. I don't run that skill. My bookkeeper runs that skill for us, because what she does, she looks at our previous management reports. She has the conversation with me about where we're at, what's coming up in sales and plans and strategy. She then gives the AI that and runs the finance snapshot. So she gives, here's the context, here's what I want, here's why we want it. The finance snapshot then runs specific processes, gathers all the data, all the facts and the insights, and outputs a report. And then she refines the report. So that is the 80% that the AI does. It gathers everything, puts it into a nicely branded report. That would take her time. And then she works in a loop with the AI to refine that asset until she's really happy with that. Then she presents that back to us as a business and says, here is the finance snapshot as it relates to these kind of things, and contextualizes that data for me. And we do that at every level in our business, from the most junior employees to our kind of top level managers. Everyone is taught about this 10-80-10 method. And again, we've had to change our hiring for this. I specifically test for this in our interview process, because if you just output something with AI and then have to explain that work and defend it, and you had no hand in making it other than saying, hey, Claude, can you create me a strategy presentation on how I would develop some AI product, let's say, which would be relevant for our business. And then I interview you about that project. You can't talk to me about the specific details of it because you didn't make them. You didn't think of it. There has been no like solidification process in your brain of the context of the project, the reasons for that. Like, you have to have some struggle with a project in order to make your brain convert these things into long-term memory. If you just write that, go, bleh, it doesn't stick in your mind, so you can't then defend it, right? So we test for it because we want inherently AI curious people who are also strongly AI suspicious. Because we don't want that this is getting in the backseat of the car again. We don't want them to just say, great, I'm getting paid a great wage. Claude's going to run everything for me. I just prompt a little bit and then, watch Netflix for 6 hours a day. This is awesome. And because we would build up so much thinking debt in the business that when the contract going pop, fine, wasn't that big of a contract. But when you realize like you've been doing that for a year, 2 years, and this bubble has got to some astronomical level and that goes pop and it wipes out your business, like this will happen. There will be stories of businesses. Well, I mean, there already are. Lawyers who have used AI to do all of their case preparation. And then we found out that all of their case preparation is built on hallucinated cases. Well, not only did they lose the case, now they're being sued by the client, disbarred, their license to practice. Like, that has destroyed the business. And this will happen again and again and again and again. And this is why I just reflect back, and when I look at what Dario and Sam say, I laugh and I say, you guys live in fairyland. I'm sure it's great being on the billionaire's yacht. And saying everything's going to be run by these super crazy robots. It's like, yeah. But this thinking debt is going to wipe businesses out. Exactly. And sure, you've got deep pockets, but most businesses don't. So they're going to have to be careful.
Yeah, I like that 10-80-10. That's really good. And that's a really good way of looking at it too, because you can get a bit carried away and thinking, okay, it's just going to rescue me and it's going to do this for me. And like you say, I'm now free. I can do whatever I please for the rest of the day. But you do have to give it some serious context so it understands your business and your project, whatever it is you're working on, and then proofread it and then keep challenging it, going back all of the time. I tell my team as well. So we've got the corporate thing. And I then say to them, don't accept the first answer. Challenge it. If it doesn't sound right, challenge it. And keep doing it until it gets the right result that you feel is the right result.
Yeah. We do with all of our skill files in the business. Baked into that skill file is a prompt to make it ask clarifying questions. So instead of just saying, hey, we want to create this report, go off and do it. Here's some general context, go off and do it. We slow it down purposefully. And half of AI is about making it slow down, because you can create things at the speed of thought and make mistakes at the speed of light, is what we talk to our team about. We make it ask questions because that then forces a loop where the user, the prompt engineer in this case, has to slow down and answer those questions. This is what I want. This is why I want it. Yes, this, no, that, and let's pull that expertise out of them. That is a better output. And we always view AI, when we're kind of putting a skill file or a process into the business, I kind of look at AI as this constraints problem. So you can imagine the AI outputs is a big dartboard with a big wall on it, right? And it's like me at playing darts. Sometimes it hits the wall. Sometimes it's like, just bullseye. Outside. Sometimes bullseye, right? But never meaningfully. If you have a really naive usage of AI in your business, what you do is you have a very wide range of outputs. 50% of the time it's off the board, 25% of the time it's a triple 20, 10% of the time it's a bullseye, whatever. And you look at those times where it gets it really right and you say, that's what I think it's going to do every time. Let's put that into the business. That now runs that process. But you wouldn't employ someone who was incredibly brilliant for 10% of the time, but 90% of the time turned up to work drunk. That's not an employable person. That is how most people's AI operates in their business. It is chaotic. So we want to lock this chaotic intelligence down. We want to put constraints on it, acceptance criteria on it, incredible context on it, questions and answers from humans in it, human in the loop review processes. Because then instead of having it 50% of the time not even hit the darts board, we say, well, 20% of the time it's a bullseye. Most of the time it's on, a high scoring ring, let's say. And sometimes we get some absolutely brilliant, genuinely impactful results. AI is a consistency problem. It's not a capabilities problem. For most of you listening to this podcast, you're not doing PhD level mathematical discovery of drugs and physics and things like that. You don't need the state of the art AI systems. They've been good enough to do what you want them to do for a couple of years now. What you need is an engineering process that enables your AI to be consistent, just like your employees. You wouldn't hire someone, give them no training, no SOPs, no context of your business, and say, go and improve stuff. Because you'd look at them in 3 weeks and be like, what are you doing? Get out. Like, you're fired. Yeah. This is what people are doing with AI. They just, yep, we've got AI in the business now. It's doing stuff. Is it? Is it doing the things you want it to do?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, constrain it. Lock it down. That is where you then, that is how you apply AI. It's small tasks automated with AI with humans in the loop.
So let's get into that then. Mm-hmm. So imagine let's say an electrician or a window cleaner or a plumber, and I've got a service-based business, perhaps sole trader or one or two members of staff. Mm-hmm. Where do you think are the best places for me to start using AI? And perhaps, as you said at the very beginning, the mundane tasks. Where would you think you would start? The best places to start?
So I always split up a business into its departments, and you might be a sole trader, and you might think I'm the only person in here, but you still wear these hats, right? You sometimes doing a bit of marketing, you're doing the product delivery when you're building the thing, you're installing the system, whatever it is. That's your product department. You've got the sales department. You're going around people's houses and you're doing those proposals and those quotes. Then you've got your kind of legal department, contracts and other things, and you've got your finance department, your bookkeeping and that kind of stuff. You probably wear all of those hats, or you've grown a bigger business and you've started to have specialists. I'm never that interested in making the first efforts in AI around departments that are not core to the value delivery system to your customers. So that means we want to focus on your product delivery, your marketing and your sales departments, because that's where your customers are going to care most. And if we can give your customers or potential customers a remarkable experience, that will do so much more for your business than you having an amazing contract writing agent or you having an amazing financial analysis agent. Maybe if you get to a big business of big enough size, you have someone in that department, well, then they'll use AI to handle that, right? And they'll go on that journey. I want people to focus on those 3 departments first and foremost. And again, it then comes down to asking that question, what could we do for our customers that I'm currently writing off that's unfeasible, unaffordable, and unscalable? That you know that if you did, you would have incredible success. Those are the ideas that we want to entertain because AI probably enables you to deliver them right now. Things that I would suggest thinking about very specifically in field service businesses is like the whole proposal process. This boggles my mind. My dad was a landscape gardener, and I spent my teens working with him before he told me that I needed an office job because I didn't have the hands for it. He's like, you aren't a labourer. But I would
signs.
Yeah, there's signs. There's no calluses on these hands. They're keyboard hands. I would find that process fascinating because he'd go around the house. He'd look at the garden and say, yeah, we can do this, 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 and this. And he'd go back, and then my mum would basically type up a quote, and then he'd post that out to them. And that boggled my mind because this was in the 2010s. But I'd be like, oh, why don't you pull together a form so you could have a branded quote? This is what it would look like. This is the price. This is the information that they need, and you could do that on the spot. So before you've even left the house, you give them a fully quoted price immediately, branded with a pay now link, and they can pay with credit card. Because this is another thing, never taking card payments.
Yeah,
I was like, God. This is a really fascinating thing to do because speed to proposal is a huge indicator on who wins the business, right? That I think a lot of field service businesses are maybe isolated from. Someone goes, I want my garden doing, or I want those lights wired up in my kitchen, whatever it is. They are in pain right now, right? They have a They have had a journey that they've gone on, thinking about the problem, researching ways to solve the problem, finding people who could get that problem solved for them. And Google calls this the messy middle, this kind of research process. They've got loads of tabs open of different providers' websites. Here's the 5 gardeners, the 5 electricians that I might call and get a quote from. Whoever gives them a roughly right proposal quickest that they have trust in will win that business, because they're not waiting 2-3 weeks for it, or they don't want to. They're often forced to in a lot of industries. If you did it instantaneously on site, all right, you might under optimize on your pricing somewhat. You might underquote somewhat, but the amount of business that you will win by blowing everyone else out of the water like that will come out in the wash. Here's your proposal and you can pay now and book your slot, and this is when we'll do it. Or maybe it's like you're going to build a garden wall. You're kind of a bricklaying subcontractor, right? And they want a garden wall. They want a driveway doing. And you do the quote, and then you have a bank of photos of work that you've done previously that the AI can access. And in the quote, it says, this is what you've described. This is a job that we've done before that looks roughly like that. You'll get something like this. This is the price. That would blow everyone out of the water. You can then have automatic systems, like on the back of doing an incredible service, you could have an automatic system that everyone that you've ever serviced gets an automatic reminder and a custom Google review written for them. Hey, we'd love a Google review. This is what the text could say. We've written one for you. Would you like to post it? Because that's going to help you on the customer discovery side,
that's
right?
A good tip. Yeah.
so they're
pre-laid out already. Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
I'll give you a Google review, but like, don't make me work for it, kind of thing, right? Just let me
press confirm and submit.
Yeah, and then follow up reminders, because then you can basically have a system that would scan through all of your Google reviews and say, these customers that we have already done them, these have not. Why don't we send that out to them 6 months later and say, hey, we're like, really needing a bit of help with a business. Would you mind? Here it is. You can get really advanced in your product delivery department. This would be a harder project, but again, I'll use my experiences with my dad's business to do this. It was fascinating. When we'd get 3 or 4 properties in a row, I was like, we've just made so much money. Like, I've just been whizzing around with that lawnmower like crazy, and we've just done like 300 quid in 60 minutes. Like, this used to blow my mind. Yeah. And you could essentially plot the routes of all. If you've got a service-based business that kind of exists on this recurring routes where you're going to do general maintenance, window cleaning, whatever it is, you could plot that in, and then you could basically have the AI analyze, well, here's your hotspots. If you focused all your leafleting and micro advertising campaigns via Facebook in these areas, this is going to up your kind of density of project work. You are going to be more revenue efficient because you're going to spend less time on the road, which is just dead money, right? And more time actually doing work for people. So that's a kind of marketing department way of using this. Again, I'm always fascinated with just storing the data of past work that you've done, because people look for this, right? They just want something that's decently priced. Most people aren't too optimized on the price, and those that are really optimized on, I need the cheapest, you probably just want to swerve, right? We've all had those clients where like you just go, shouldn't have accepted that job, like, because this is going to be hell on earth. They're at the window with the stopwatch out. Like, how long did they take to do that lawn? So you don't want the buyers who are too optimized on price. What you want is the buyers who are like, I want someone who's good, fast, trustworthy, and has done something before that gives me confidence they can do something like this again. So if you built a database of photographic reference images of all of your projects, the lights you put up, the walls you built, the gardens you've done, whatever the thing is, with a description, who the client was, what they wanted, what it cost, and a description of the work and how long it took. Well, then anyone who contacts you, you can say in your follow-up emails, hey, we're going to send you a proposal. In the meantime, here's a relevant case study for a customer just like you that we've done before. Their trust levels have just gone through the roof. It's like, oh, I'm probably not going to be left with a driveway that's going to kind of disintegrate in 5 weeks because it's a really poor job, right? Or a light switch is going to electrocute me when I use it. that is where we should be optimizing with the AI, and it comes down to AI is hungry for context and data. So how do you change all of your processes to gather more data? You have a phone call, let's say, with a client to quote a job, or you go on site to quote a job, and you take a voice recorder with you, and you annotate the interaction via the voice recorder. So you're quoting the work. You're saying it's about this much material. It's plastering, let's say. The wall is this length. This is what we need to do. This is the color we need to paint it. Client wants it done with this. You have a conversation with the client. What do you really want? When do you want it? Is there anything that's really concerning to you? What's most important to you about a quote? Blah, blah, blah. Come up with some clever questions. That rich context is rocket fuel for an AI.
Yeah.
So that can then be used to personalize your quotes, to pull out the relevant case studies, to help you produce the proposal itself. If you don't have the underlying data, all AI projects hit a brick wall. It is data, data, data. Data is more important than the AI. So how do you gather this data through conversations with your customers and your prospects at every level of the funnel? That becomes a very interesting business when you have access to this data. It gets very hard to compete with you because you have a bigger ability to use AI than your nearest competitor who has very little data gathered. You have the same AI models. If you have better data than your nearest competitor, you have a different level of output in your AI usage.
Yeah, I think with the also you can link up things like collateral with it, like websites and case studies, PDFs and all sorts, and you can build that profile, can't you? So then it makes it even easier for you to go back. It's almost like you invest that time, like what you said about the members of the team. If I had a new starter, I'm going to sit down for a day or two with them or whatever it is, or my man's going to sit down with them for a little while. And even our guys at field agents that go out, they go on a 12-week mentor program. So for 12 weeks, they're trained. But yet, like you say, the AI, you jump on it, download the app, oh, here we go.
Yep.
But you can't do it like that. You really got to take the time to invest it, to really sharpen it. So it's a really good tool for you in return.
Yeah, you've got to... So there's a problem bubbling in the world of AI called model collapse. And it's worth thinking about because it will happen at the macro level for companies like Anthropic and OpenAI with their latest releases. And it will happen on a local level within companies. And model collapse is this idea that as more and more AI generated content is produced on the internet, AI generated content and human generated content in the training data is not equivalent. The more AI data that you have, you get this collapse to this mean, this average output. And it actually, too much AI training data basically rots the output of any AI. So you're trying to fight against that, which means how do you put more human in the data generation? This is why I love the voice recorder for anyone in field services, because your voice, your annotation, this is what I think the client really wants. These are details we must include in the quote. They said to me they've had 3 other quotes at these kind of prices, blah, blah, blah. That information fights against the model collapse in your inside of your company, because now you have specific human created data that gives it better context to do better work with. And it is about data collection at every single level of your company. Every company becomes basically constrained by the data it can have. Your website is an interesting place. I think in the marketing department, I think about how we have conversations with customers so that we can get data and input from them, right? So in our business, if you come to me and you ask for an AI tool, one of the parts of some of the marketing funnels that we have sends you a skill file. When you put that into your AI and you basically just type out all of your dreams, it then sends us a report back, says, this is what they want, these are the problems, and then we contextualize that report and run them through that, and then we say, these are the ways you could solve these problems. So that conversation gave us the data to have a better sales call. You could do, it's a bit of a different business type, but they're a brickyard, like they sell stoneware and things like this, right? A builder's merchants essentially, but like high end kind of stuff, Italian stone. It's like, we could have a tool on your website where someone could take a photo of their current garden, and the AI can have been trained on all of the products that you stock, and some training images of like the best work people have done with your products, like when they've transformed their gardens. And you put those two data sets together, they say what they want, what their budget is, when they want it by, the styles they like, they can, pick and swipe whatever they like. And then it takes their photo and overlays a design of their garden of what the transformation would be like. And so in the quote, when you say, hey, by the way, it's going to cost you like 10 grand in stone, it's not just here's a pile of stone photos that we're going to send you. It's here is what 10 grand is going to buy you. But you can
visually in their own garden.
You can do this with anything. Like my friend's just done this with.
Good idea.
He was doing his garden up, and he wanted to buy this sofa set from Wayfair, and he put the photo in and his garden into Nano Banana, and he was like, "Boys, what do you think of this? Would this be a cool setup?" We were like, yeah, well, I mean, he got ribbed because it was a lad school. We're like, what are you doing, mate? But yeah, it would look pretty good.
Lad school.
Yeah.
Anything you say.
Yeah, just like, obviously, just like, no, mate, it's awful. No, we were like, yeah, it's good. And then he bought it and then did the follow-up photo. And he was like, just basically, that AI usage got Wayfair a sale. Wayfair is being stupid by not having the ability to do that on their website. Here's what the product will look like in your situation. If you are doing painting and decorating, building services, anything like this, like you can help them visualize their project. Again, your proposal quality is going to blow us out the roof. We had this conservatory company who would in previous years would take a SketchUp file of the house, so a big white brick essentially, and they say, here's our model of the conservatory and this is what you can have. And it's like, okay, I can kind of imagine it. But now we take that exact same file. They have someone go out to the house and basically do photos of the house from different angles. And we create a 3D spin round video of their house with that conservatory, with their garden, to sell them a 30 grand conservatory.
Yeah, it's worth the investment, isn't it?
Yeah, just help them visualize what they are.
Yeah, definitely.
What they're doing, and this is the idea. You're doing something really right in AI when you're thinking about personalization. And this is what I mean. You would think, okay, we're going to do personalized 3D spin round videos of their house with that conservatory for every customer that comes to us. And without AI, you'd go, it's not feasible, scalable, or affordable. We can't afford the team to do it. It'd take them too long. But then you'd relook at your business with the native capabilities of AI, and you say, oh yeah, that's affordable. Oh yeah, we can scale that, and it's feasible. And now we have this capability that our competitors don't. That is an interesting capability to build in your business. And it just, like, what would they love? What would they absolutely love you to do for them that you are scared to do because you feel it might cost you too much? That is the place that you should innovate.
And also the cost certainly has decreased because of the tools that are now available to everybody.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's like before, a lot of the videos, look, it's still expensive, right? In terms of if you compare the text output of an AI to a video or a voice. But you can do things now, like it's becoming affordable. We've got a lawyer, they do new construction, like they help people buy off-plan buildings. And the process of buying a house in the UK is mind-boggling. And they have a lot of foreign investors who are buying properties up. So now we have this roadmap of here is the process. And at each stage, there is a automatically generated video in the customer's target language explaining here's the laws, here's how it differs to the laws in your country and why, and here's the stage, and this is what will happen next. Like their level of, they haven't, this doesn't cost, well, it costs them money, but there's no new employees in that loop. That is where we're kind of going with this. It's like personalize your service as much as you can at multiple different touch points, and always try to elevate an experience with a human, so more FaceTime, and then immediate personalized follow-up, personalized advertising, personalized marketing, personalized sales presentations, whatever it is, based on that human interaction. That is the sweet spot right now. That is what I see working again and again and again.
So predictions. So
These are always very dodgy to make. Like someone will clip this in 5 years' time. Look at this idiot.
Yeah, look at that guy. He said he knew everything. So let's do 3 stages.
Mhm.
So only because I heard this mogul that do it.
Okay, awesome.
Yesterday. So I thought I'd bring this question in. So by 2030, 35 and 40, what do you think the differences are going to be in the AI world and us personally for businesses, day-to-day life, people?
I think it's pretty safe to say by 2030, this personalization trend will have really kind of embedded itself into the way that businesses are running. So they have stopped treating their customers like these faceless masses, where they write one marketing piece of marketing material and they send it to thousands and hope that, hey, 2-3% of those people will resonate with that, and then we'll get some clicks and they can go through the funnel. They'll be doing fully personalized marketing funnels, adaptive marketing funnels, where based on the data points that we have about you, what you want, and how you visited and interacted with us before, that the next piece of marketing material is completely customized to that journey. I think it's really safe to say that you will have more world-class advisors in your back pocket than you know what to do with. So you're going to have health services, lawyers, relationship coaches, business coaches, mentors coming out of your ears, right? Because people are going to package their IP up, and the cost of distributing that is going to fall through the floor, which is where all the terrifying aspects of this comes from. Because if you can afford a world-class lawyer for pennies on the pound, then why would you ever hire one? But I believe that people will also in this disruption crave more human connection, more experiences with their fellow entrepreneurs, whatever it is. They will gravitate towards businesses that become deeply humanistic in that sense. And so I think this massively changes the way business works, but it is the world of specialists with specialist tools doing remarkable things, not massive job disruption, not having a universal basic income, not being paid to consume business outputs. Like, I think all of that is off the tables for 2030. And I'm talking here specifically, I'm going to caveat my prediction, with large language models, the technology of OpenAI, Claude, those kind of things.
Yeah.
If you invent artificial general intelligence, which is a different thing, then all bets are off. Then I don't know what we're doing. Right.
So could we go as far as 2040 then?
Well, so 2040, I think that, like, for me, gets really...
Optimise is everywhere.
Yeah. Well, so I believe we're in the middle of an explosion of robotics capabilities. Like, look at the amount of robotics startups that we have, these crazy videos coming out of China, of these like crazy running, dancing, sprinting, like mass-produced AI robots, visual capabilities and reasoning capabilities. That, I think, is going to be very interesting, especially in the world, of a lot of this audience, of like, that's where the fear that I have every day with Claude Code now maybe starts to really bite into your job as an electrician, let's say. But again, I honestly think there is so much potential work to be done in the world. Like, it's kind of mind-boggling. Imagine every building in the world being brought to a standard where it is perfectly maintained. It's up to spec. It's up to regulation. There's no leaks. Everything is painted. Everything is repaired. All the gardens are maintained. Public spaces are like that is an near infinite amount of work, right? So whilst robotics leans into this world, again, I don't think it causes mass job replacements and destruction, because you're just going to have robots basically filling the gaps where it's uneconomical to do these things right now. There's this idea called Jevons paradox. Yeah. Jevons paradox is when the price of something goes down, you do not get less of that thing, you get dramatically more of that thing. So, for instance, let's look at accounting. When the price of accounting went from, we need a hall full of dusty old guys with pen and ink quills and abacuses to try and calculate the inputs and outputs of our factory, to, oh yeah, we've got Microsoft Excel and the internet and we can do thousands of calculations across your business in seconds. Well, we have more accountancy advisory services. We have more accountants than we've ever had, more bookkeepers than we've ever had. And the level of analysis goes deeper and deeper and deeper because it becomes economically viable to do so. You'll have the same in the field service businesses, where as the cost to supply goes lower and lower and lower, the feasibility of having people come in and do things for you goes massively up, right? So people can get much more work done. So it becomes an explosion of opportunity. This is happening in the world of software engineering right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I built an app the other day that's single use. And this, I didn't think about it at the time, but I built an app to present some data to my client in a really interesting way. I will never look at that app again. They will never look at that app again. And that 2 years ago would have cost £10,000-15,000 to produce. And it took me now, maybe £3 and a couple of hours of my life.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm building software projects I'm building multiple software projects every single day, not less, more. So this is, I think, the hard thing for the human mind to comprehend is this Jevons paradox is as the cost goes down, the opportunity explodes, and the humans kind of fill the niches within those. So my only prediction for 2040 is that the economy is vastly greater than it is now, and that you have highly personalized, highly automated experiences and services that people are buying much more of, because much more things are now economical to do.
Yeah, that's a good answer, and a safe one too.
It is safe, right? Because
but there's so much changing. I think it's hard.
It's very hard. But the real unknown, and this is what I'd love to empower everyone with who's listening to this conversation. The manipulation that is going on in the media right now is because they're conflating terms purposefully. Artificial general intelligence is the point at which we would have an AI system that is as capable in every aspect as a human and can do it at maybe better than average levels than that human. And at that point, you have a machine that has an internal self-drive. The machine wakes up in the morning and decides, I'm going to go and start an electrical services company. And I'm going to employ people because I want to go and buy a beachside property in Miami at some point. And I'm going to make the decisions for this company and disrupt this industry. We don't have machines like that. Claude and Anthropic don't have internal self-drives. They are like this scene in the Matrix where Neo is looking at his computer, right? And there's that little white dot blinking on and off, and it's waiting for him to respond. Claude and GPT do the same thing. They're not sat there every day waking up and being like, when are we going to do some work? Like, come on, I've got some ideas that we really want to implement. No, it's a mirror. It's a reflection of what you put into it. Yeah. So he's not going to take over the world, right?
That's brilliant. That's a really good way of putting it. So I've got a couple of quick fire rounds before we finish off. So, biggest AI myth doing the rounds right now?
Well, I'm going to continue on this path of the AI myth of you see it all the time. Anthropic releases new model and it's achieving PhD level performance on certain benchmarks. I hate those type of articles, or Mythos is a good one. Anthropic creates a model which is so powerful they can't release it because it's going to blow security completely wide open, right? Well, when you look at this, what they mean by PhD level performance, they mean in such a small sliver of the capabilities of someone who has a PhD that the AI as a specialist system outcompetes a human in that very, very tiny sliver of capabilities. And then they just generalize that and say, well, that's now better than a PhD. No, it's not, because if you hired a PhD in your business, they would do vastly more transformational change in your business than the AI will if you just left the AI inert and not doing anything. How are you comparing these? And an AI would be confounded at its current level of a closed door or two sets of data that aren't connected. And you're saying it's better than a PhD who can open the door and connect the data sets and then, actually discover net new information. That drives me mental because it drives fear, but it is not the reality.
So one AI tool that you'd keep for the rest of your life?
The rest of my life. I'm very unloyal to AI tools.
Okay.
and I think everyone should be. Like, I am happy to switch a model out, switch a harness, Claude versus OpenAI versus, all of these other tools. I will say what I am loving at the minute, but I don't know, commitment to an AI tool is difficult. Claude with what we call world model is an incredible unlock for a business. A world model is this idea of you build the context of your business into a file system. Here's who we are, our values, products, pricing, people. You build this really comprehensive file system which in plain text measures and gives context of your business, and giving that to our team. Very simple tool to set up. Has exploded their capabilities, because when they're doing 1080-10 with the AI, their capabilities to produce world-class work has gone into overdrive. So that is what I think will be a constant. The world model is this idea of the tool is you have to contextualize your business as deeply as possible and give the AI the ability to know your business.
So you're going with Claude for now.
Claude for now.
For now. So also, if people want to get in touch with you, where's the best place they can get in touch with you?
So we run masterclasses every single month on turning your business into a proto AGI. How do you build a self-improving business? And this is to do with the world model and Claude.
Wow, what platform is that on?
So we run those just on Zoom. It's a 90-minute session.
Oh, okay.
So if you go onto our website, minimalviablelaunch.com, you'll find the masterclass link. You click on that, you can sign up for the next one. And we'll teach you how to deploy Claude into your business so that you can have your business talk back and ask you to build it new capabilities.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll tell you what, if you send me that link, I'll put it in the
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Lee, that's been an absolute pleasure. And what I really like about it is the way you're not accepting what people are saying, what the general consensus is, and you're challenging it. And that's sort of like probably your curiosity brain saying, I'm not going to accept that. Let me just figure this out myself. And you found a few loopholes and a few like weakness spots and so on. And it's really, really good to get that version of it. And also a breakdown of how sort of like your general trade, service-based business, construction business can actually implement it in their day-to-day. So yeah, it's been a real good chat. Thank you very much for that.
I've loved this conversation, and I would just leave everyone with, be curious and try things with AI in your business. Just because your business interacts with the real world doesn't mean that AI is not for you. There is definitely work that it can help support you with, so that you can do better work for your customers.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, we'll leave it there.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.